What's going on, people? Welcome to United View. Good evening. We did say that we'll be back probably with stuff very shortly after the Flexing KG show. It's all going off. Owen, do you even still have that on the board? It's all going off. Is that
I've
there
never had
somewhere?
that on the board. That's
Oh,
not
that's
my board.
KG's one.
That's
Right,
KG's
okay.
board. Yeah, I've never
There's
had
so
that
many
on the
boards
board.
and sounds. I get lost.
Yeah,
But it is
I know.
all going off at Manchester United. Injuries galore, panic stations galore, bids flying in, negotiations going off. And Manchester United are officially have officially submitted a loan bid to Chelsea for Marc Cucurella. Owen, what's the details of what's going on? And we'll talk about all the other subplots as well as that.
Yeah, so obviously we knew that Man United were interested in Marc Cucurella. We knew that talks were ongoing because Romano had said so over the weekend. But now a proposal has been submitted. David Ornstein reporting in the last few minutes of the time recording this video. Breaking news that Manchester United have submitted a proposal to sign Marc Cucurella from Chelsea. Chelsea have responded and talks are ongoing. The offer is an initial loan and clubs are discussing the various parameters around what that loan would look like. United like him for the Erik ten Hag system. He is the top candidate as things stand. Now, obviously, a lot of people then sort of jumped upon that. Romano being the one that actually broke the story over the weekend. He gave a bit more detail, suggesting that the loan fee that's been offered by Manchester United to Chelsea is in excess of £2 million. Chelsea want more. The actual amount we do have, we'll give you in just a second. But talks are ongoing to make it happen. Cucurella, he's open to joining Manchester United. He's been open to joining the club since he found out about it over the weekend. Romano is describing it as deal on. Now, we mentioned that loan fee. We actually do have a number on it as well. Laurie Whitwell is reporting from The Athletic that Chelsea have said to propose a £7 million loan fee for the season. So negotiation is required. Manchester United view that as a bit too much. United are considering other left backs too, just in case, i.e. they've made contact regarding Nicolas Tagliafico from Lyon. There's also talks about possibly going towards Sergio Reguilon as well. But it would appear that Cucurella is the top of United's list flex. Romano also tweeting that Manchester United will not advance on any other left back until they're in talks for Marc Cucurella. They're confident that they can reach an agreement with Chelsea. As I mentioned, the loan fee offered is in excess of £2 million. It's not enough yet, but United will insist in the next hours. So basically, Flex, looks like we're going to get him. What are your thoughts on it?
They'll find a middle ground, I reckon, of about 5 million. If we've put 2 and they've said 7, listen, it's happened all summer long. This is how our deals have gone, even though this is a loan, especially with Mason Mount. We knew what happened there. We met in the middle. They don't need him. They don't want him. They want to get a little bit of money for him to get him off the books for a year. He can't believe his luck. He was surplus at Chelsea in terms of it wasn't really going to play this year. You could see what's happening there. And Poch obviously didn't have him as the guy. And he's got a lifeline now. My thoughts, look, I'm in a position, you hear about the Varane injury, and I know this isn't specifically about that. This is about the Luke Shaw injury, but just it's been quite negative today, and it's desperation settings now. Now I've got to take off that whole, but I don't think he's a very good defender. And, when I first heard the links, I literally retweeted, I went, excuse me, because Cucurella is not for me. But now, as what happens at Man United, a lot of the times, the situation rises to the top, and the situation of what you're in gets to the primary set of thinking. And now I'm like going into the bag of, well, he can get on the ball, he can get up and down. He was at Brighton the year before. Nobody was good at Chelsea.
Because I have to. Because he's coming.
Do it. I have to do
coming.
It. And it will probably be the same with Højbjerg. And when I jokingly said, well, Højbjerg and Cucurella start against Arsenal, all of a sudden it's looking very real. And look. When any player comes to Man United and actually does sign, which I'm assuming he will, clearly this can take twists and turns, but I think there's a willingness to get that deal done from Chelsea and Man United. And there's a disparity, but I think the negotiations will work and they'll get the player. When anyone signs for Man United, I'm behind him. And if I thought, even though I've got reservations about it, I'll get behind the player. I'll save that in-depth kind of analysis to if we get him and what that video looks like when we talk about it. But my initial thoughts, to be honest with you, have done a range of emotions in the last couple of days, because all of a sudden we found ourselves in this position where you were messaging me earlier and listing the players. You're like, these are the players we need in 4 days. Like, we actually need, and then that was before, I think you messaged me that before Varane was 6 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So realistically,
I just
we
think we have to get him now. We have to get a left back. You don't want that was it. Sorry, just quickly.
Go ahead.
I've got my head around it. Ain't Fernandez. I did a piece on Sky saying I want Erik ten Hag to coach his way out of this. Clearly, there's things behind the scenes that we're not privy to as fans. Luke Shaw's layoff's going to be ages. It seems like. It seems potentially that is the case with Malacia. We haven't heard a thing, and he doesn't think that he's ready. He doesn't think that Fernandez is ready, which I find surprising. But I'm not Erik ten Hag. I don't see the players day in day out. Of course, we don't. I just thought surely we can just have him and Dalot until the end of the season and keep every bit of pennies that we have to try and get this midfielder in. But that's not going to be the case. So I've resigned to the fact that we have to get a left back, and yeah, it's going to be Marc Cucurella.
No, you're right. I think it does probably speak volumes to the injury to Luke Shaw and Terrell Malacia. Shaw, they were saying maybe November. Today they're saying maybe December. Malacia, we really haven't heard anything, so we don't know. I mean, if you just look at the current injury list that United have, kind of ties in this Varane news too. Rasmus Højlund's got a back injury. He's back in training, expected to feature at the weekend. So you go, okay, that's one person off the list. But you've got Malacia, knee injury. You got Ahmad, knee injury. You got Kobbie Mainoo, ankle injury. Tom Heaton, calf injury. Mason Mount, hamstring. Luke Shaw, muscular injury. Raphael Varane, it's unknown really actually what his injury is, but he's out for, they're saying, up to 6 weeks. And it must be said, all of those injuries there we've pointed out are long-ish. I mean, Mason Mount, they're thinking is maybe the other side of the international break, but he might miss a couple of games after it as well. So 3-4 weeks, something like that. The point being is, we were light anyway.
And we're still managing really Martial.
Exactly. We're still managing Martial. We're still managing Højlund. We're still managing him.
We're managing
as well.
2 strikers now.
Exactly. So you're looking at a situation where you're saying, okay, we need a left back. So that's probably going to be Cucurella. We need 1, if not 2 midfielders. We need to get a goalkeeper as well, because our other backup goalkeeper, we've just sold 20 million. And possibly, if we could really get, we're not going to get another striker, screw it. We'll get 4, basically. But the point being is, we're looking at like maybe 4 in 3 days. That's the territory we're in at the moment. And part of it's bad luck, injuries, they happen. We wouldn't be in for a left back if both of our left backs were fit right now. But Ten Hag did say in his press conference last week, he said, well, it's a scenario we thought about, but we took the risk. And the risk hasn't paid off, because now we're in a situation where we're going to have to put, let's say it's £4 or £5 million that could have gone towards another player. We're going to have to put it in on Cucurella. And like we said this morning, look, if we get Brighton Cucurella, it could be a brilliant sign. And we're going, oh my God, that's amazing. But there's no long-termness in it really, Flex, because if he plays well, he's on a really long contract at Chelsea. So Chelsea's like, brilliant. You got something out of him. Bring him back to the bridge. That's the territory we're in at the moment. And you know what it reminds me of too? You know what it reminds me of too? You remember like Arsenal sort of in the last, maybe not last couple of years, but sort of in the sort of, in the 10s, 2010 to sort of 2016, 17, 18, where they would do these signings from other top Premier League clubs. You go, that's a bit weird. They're not. And they were never like the best players from those clubs. They were sort of, the sort of cast-offs. And they would have these conversations where they would go, yeah, but he's all right, maybe. Played in the Premier League. He can do a job, can't he? And that's where we are at the moment. We're living in hopium. We are fully in the hopium territory of bring him in. Let's hope he pays off. Because if you get the good version of him, it could be a revelation. But it's not. It's
worrying. It's worrying because we're in panic stations and we're in desperation. So we're in future us's problem. Well, what happens if he plays good? What happens when Malacia gets back? What happens when Shaw's? Worry about it later, mate. Right now, for the next, because till December, that's not an issue, and our season could be over by then if we don't sort this. That's where we're at. If we don't have a left back, the way Ten Hag sees it, because he's bringing in an emergency left back, he's saying, well, if we don't, I clearly can't. I don't trust Dalot to do that. That's not my plan for this team. I need an actual left back / left wing back / left centre back, whatever they're going to be. I need an actual left footer, left. And that's not the plan. Well, what about the plan if this person plays good and you want to buy him? Worry about that afterwards. We might be bought by then. I don't know. Worry about that, at least with us still within touch and distance or in the top 4 by Christmas, because we've managed to get players' bodies in. That's what we're in. So, and also the long-term plan of he didn't want Marc Cucurella. He decided that Luke Shaw's his best guy and got a backup kid in Malacia just to help Luke Shaw, because Luke Shaw's the plan. So all of a sudden now, like you're saying, it will be a thing which is future us's problem, because you're just saying Cucurella back on the end of it, or do you go, actually, for squad depth, he's better than Malacia. I've seen it. Then all of a sudden you sell Malacia after a year and a bit, and it's like, you loan him out. And then
if we get the best version of him, yeah, he's better than Trell Malacia. He might even be better than Luke Shaw if you get the best version of him.
That's what I mean. So all of a sudden you give Luke Shaw, and this is how football's crazy. You give Luke Shaw a new deal, which we just did not long ago, but last year. You give Dallo a new 5-year deal, which we have last season. He can't even start at right back, let alone left back. Then you bring in Cucurella on an emergency loan, and then you might go, bloody hell. He's all right, him. If we get this, I'll tell you what, champ. Oh, yeah. Fancy him a bit, yeah. Like you said, the Brighton Cucurella, which, again, I don't feel it, but I'm in this space now, so I have to talk about this. I have to be in it. I have to. Gotta hope. There's no point me being negative now, because it's just not going to do me any good. I voiced that at the first bit. There's no point badgering on about that. I said didn't rate Cucurella, but I'm forced to now say, but if someone says to me, but Flex, you didn't rate Mason Mount last year either. He was injured and shit. But you're giving him a chance. Everybody was crap at Chelsea last year. Everyone. Not one person was good. So I can't do that thing of like, he 1,000,000% won't be good. He's 1,000,000% going to be crap.
It's the part of, isn't it? It's, you've got reservations on the signing, but you want to be wrong. You don't want to be right. You don't want to see him fail. And that's the difference sometimes. Absolutely. It's a bit like the Mason Mount thing. It's like some people have gone, he's rubbish, and it's almost like, even though they won't admit it, they want to see him fail. They want him to be. They want to see him fail, right. And it's like, I told you so. I was right.
Yeah.
Reservations about Cucurella? Absolutely. Reservations about Højbjerg? 1,000,000%. Do I want to be sitting here in 6 months' time and be like, I was so wrong? I was so absolutely. Yeah. And if they do sign, if they're holding up the shirt, I'll back them.
Yeah,
I'll be like,
we have to.
At this point, we need players.
Yeah,
we can't afford to get nobody. We got the time's running
typical,
out.
Honestly,
it's a mess.
We were so calm at one point, saying, "Well done, Man United." Actually, do they deserve a bit of credit? Are we looking at this going? I'll tell you what, 3 positions. Now we just got to settle now, top it up a little bit. And look, you can't predict injuries. I get that. No one. It's not John Murtough's fault that Luke Shaw's injured. It's not Erik ten Hag's fault Luke Shaw's injured. It's no one's fault. Varane's, even though there's inevitability there, he's always going to get injured. But it's not their fault. So I get that. This wasn't part of the script. But you look at how things have been done and how we've ended up in this situation, and it does light the club a little bit. It does, and it does go back to Glazers. And it does go back to not being ready, not having enough money to do certain things, and even needing to sell to buy. Players, digging their heels in. Maguire rejecting a move that set us back, because we would have had it to Debo by now. If Maguire would have just accepted that, and I'm not saying that obviously this is our fault for giving him the deal, like we always say, sins of the past. But if he would have accepted that 30 million, he would have already been playing for West Ham, and we'd had 30 million in our pocket. We would have got a young kid. So now if Varane's injured, we'd just bring in the new Varane. Going to Debo, now's your time to shine, bro. This is it. Between you and Lindelof, you can handle that. And now this is the problem with Maguire staying. I know it's moving the conversation on a little bit, but this is the problem with him staying. Eventually, he's going to have to actually play, because Lindelof can't do all this by himself. This is with Martinez staying fit now and playing 90 minutes every bloody game. Martinez has bloody been hooked at half time in one game. You know what I mean? Already.
Well, we're also into the territory, aren't we now, whereby any semblance of strategy is firmly out the window. There is no strategizing.
No.
There is no, like I said, there is no long-term planning. This is now who is available. Who is available with 72 hours left? That is the territory that we're in right now. It's Cucurella, he's available. Højbjerg, he's been offered by Spurs and by his agents United. You can do a deal with Højbjerg if you want in the next few hours. Yeah, so that's the territory we're in. We're not into long-term targets, long-term planning, and maybe that's why it gets into Ten Hag knows him so he can pick up the phone. That's why it's into Tagliafico. Hey, Eric's called. What's the situation at Lyon? Don't really like it here. Come to United. Would they be interested? Well, yeah, Lyon, they'll give you their money, of course. That's the territory we're in at the moment. So we're now at the point where it's like the best players aren't available now. They're not. No. Maybe we've got to get that in our minds too, that we're going, Cucurella, Højbjerg. And it's because maybe the Højbjerg one, you're going, Amrabat's there. He's available. He's ready. But the more I think about the Cucurella one, it's the best of a bad situation, really, isn't it? That's what it really is right now, because what kind of like top quality left back do you get with 72 hours left of a transfer window? There aren't many good ones around. You're getting, again, cast-offs or people that are in bad situations. And look, if it's a loan fee of 4 or 5 million, whatever, I guess we'll have to pay it. I'm cautious, like I said, about the wages because he's on big wages at Chelsea,
Yeah.
175k. How is that going to work? If United could get in a situation where they pay like half of it, then I'd be like, fair enough. I don't know if Chelsea will go for that. But then again, maybe Chelsea, a few days ago, were thinking Cucurella was going to stick around because who's going to pick him up? We only signed him last year. And suddenly these mugs come in and go, hey, we'll take Cucurella off your hands for a season. Yeah. So they'll be like, yeah, brilliant. Yeah, because they might not have planned for that financially. I don't know. But we are firmly, as I mentioned, into the territory of chaos. That's what we're in at the moment. And this is just the beginning. I expect more of this over the next few hours. I expect more of this, more Cucurellas, more midfielders. I expect all of it. And to be honest, like we always get linked to anyone anyway, that is in overdrive now. If there's any player that feels that's not sure about their situation and their agent feels like they can get him a move, they're calling up United right now.
Yeah. Well, in the last game, because that's what I mean. Can't believe it's like. I mean, Levi Cole was sort of playing. I know. Chilwell's left wing back / left winger, and then Cole was playing as a left-sided centre back, but he's almost like a left back with how wide they're playing at Chelsea. He's gone for that kid Maatsen ahead of bloody Cucurella. Like he did, unused sub against Luton at home. Like he's not in the plans. You don't want it. Poch don't want him. You don't see him as that guy. Same in the preseason. I saw because I was doing a bit on Chelsea. He doesn't want him. He's not part of the thing. No. So, and actually, I would have thought that would be someone that Poch would want. Actually, get him going. 25. Maybe. He's up and down. Maybe. He's technically sound. I thought, he's good energy. He's got, I just thought maybe he would, but there you go. That's that on a Cucurella. We have to just wait and see. I think we'll get him. We will get him. And then you look at the Varane situation and stone me. I just. The ghost. Do you know what I will say? The ghost of Rafe the Phantom. This is it, man. This is it. This is the beginning of the end.
Really?
Yeah, it is. I will say that, Owen. It's the beginning.
So this is what I was saying to you the other day when I said, and I was it was a bit in jest, but I was going, where you look at Varane run and you just go, feel like you might be on your last legs a little bit there, mate. Yeah. And it's wild to say because he's only 30.
Yeah, I don't think it's not even just because it's not just the way he just had it. He's always had it. He just.
You look at him and you look at his injury record. I mean, he retired at international football at 30, which nowadays is young. No, yeah, exactly. Which nowadays is like him going, I can't do it physically anymore. No. And this is, you have two options, don't you?
Always
when you get Varane, you have to buy another player.
You got to get
You're going to fill in for. It's like when we had like Rio and Vidic towards the end of their careers, and it's like they're not going to play every game, so we need Johnny Evans or we need Chris Smalling or we need Phil Jones, because you needed those players because those players just weren't going to play every single game. We're already in that territory with Raphael Varane, and that's why we needed Todibo because that was the long-term replacement. But there's no time to be proactive, Flex, because we're running out of time.
Harry Maguire's just going to have to absorb that, and he's going to have to play whenever called upon. But I will say this: I'm not, and me, he's my favorite guy. I love the Ghost of Rafe the Phantom. He is my favorite. But you have to call a spade a spade. His injuries are a big issue. Availability, we always say, is one of the biggest attributes to have. Reliability, availability, being present. Albeit Maguire is that always fit, but we're like, no thanks. But with Rafa, the reason I say it's the beginning of the end is because we won't sort it now because we can't. But essentially. Like I said, at the end of this year, I was like, you're probably going to have to look at Rafa and go, who's the new one? And already it's going to be obviously, according to Carve, it's going to be a 6-week layoff. That's a significant injury already. And let's be honest, it's going to come back from that. It'll take time to come back from that. And then when's the next one going to be? It's going to be another little 2-weeker or we can't mount a title challenge or the next big team that we want to build like that with like whether it's Luke Shaw after 18 months of being injury free or a year, there's still one. He always gets one. The same with Varane. We can't do it. We can't, man. It's harsh, and I feel for these players because they don't want to be injured. Martial, same thing. Look at the state of that situation. Like we can't. We're now having to panic and rush and get things that aren't even what we wanted to sort. We want to get a midfielder.
And we look at that Arsenal game at the weekend, Flex.
Forget about
it. People got missing. Like the side we could potentially put out.
Yeah, and even if that team was the full team, Varane and Shaw, you know, with Højlund.
Well, it
even
might
if
be a
that
bit
would still
different.
be
It
like,
might be a bit different
yeah,
with the
but
new
would still be like,
reinforcements,
mate,
with an
avoid.
extra midfielder, Højlund. You'd be like,
Yeah,
well, we're not the
Mount, you
favourites.
know, he's supposed
We're
to
not the
have changed
favourites,
it.
but you'd be like, you never know. But like now, you're looking at a situation where you go,
A miracle
okay,
for
like we won't have Varane. We don't know if we're going to have a natural left back at this point. Højlund, I'm assuming he's probably going to start on the bench. Martial's going to probably start. The midfield is still going to be most likely a mess because it's probably going to be Casemiro Eriksson, which isn't bad, but there's basically no other option apart from Scott McTominay, who may or may not be here by that point.
Well, maybe
he might be at
Gravenberch's on the
Bayern
bench
Munich
by then. Or
I
Højbjerg,
don't know.
sorry. I
but
don't know.
Do you know what is the hardest thing at the moment is to say, like, what is that predicted 11 look like at the Emirates? I genuinely don't know. No idea. It's not even that long away as well.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Friday will tell us everything we need to know. Do you know what I mean? Friday will tell us everything we need to know. So there you go. That's your latest, Man United fans. It's not looking good, bruv. It's peak right
exactly.
now.
So be sure to smash a like on the like button, guys. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right hand corner. You never know. We might be back later on. We'll be back tomorrow morning, though. 9 a.m. Check out the Flex and KG. We're out of it. Peace.